Hello and welcome to this edition of Safe and Secure. We would like to wish everyone a safe and happy holiday. On today's show, we look at a controlled burn that took place at 2 locations around town.
We also meet Southfield School Liaison Officers. One of Southfield's finest firefighters retires, and the season's Shop with the Hero is another success. All that and more today on Safe and Secure. A police school liaison officer is a law enforcement officer assigned to the school. The purpose of having a liaison officer is to assist the school in maintaining a safe environment for students, staff, and visitors. The school liaison officer interacts positively with students to gain confidence and trust.
I interviewed for the position again 20 years ago, and what I like so much about the position is that, working on the road, you go to run after run after run, and you never kind of find out if you made any type of impact in anyone's life. Here, you welcome the kids in as freshmen, and you see them all through high school into their senior year, and you can see where you have made a difference in a person's life, and that's why I enjoy being here. I just enjoy, being able to direct the kids on the right path.
Officer James has deep roots in Southfield, with his children graduating from Southfield schools.
I have 4, and all 4 of them graduated from Southfield Lathrop High School, as I was the school resource officer. So it was kind of different. I kind of stayed out their way, kind of gave them a chance to be a high school student. So that was kind of exciting for me to kind of go to school with my children.
The school liaison officers get involved in after-school programs like Shop with the Hero or providing security at sporting events. The current chief, Eric Hawkins, started his career as a school liaison officer with Officer James, and they continue to have a good rapport.
Because my current chief, me and him, matter of fact, started together as school officers. So that's the benefit of him working this assignment. He understands the dynamics of the assignment, so he's extremely supportive of it. So I have had the benefit of him being in this assignment. We worked it together. So like I said, his support is dynamic.
Southfield schools are fortunate to have liaison officers that have such a great rapport with Southfield students. However, it did take time to build this rapport. In addition to dealing with students, the officers must frequently interact with parents.
I think the time and the years of me being involved in the school as a school officer, I've kind of learned the techniques of how to de-escalate the parents, because I understand this, their children. This is like the best asset to them is their children. So I understand the emotion that's involved when they come up here, but for the most part, by the time the meeting is over, we're hugging each other.
We don't mean to downplay the seriousness of the liaison's job. If a student brings criminal activities into Southfield Arts and Technology or on school property, it is still considered a possible felony. Officer Rambus is stationed at Southfield A&T, and he comes from the Detroit Police Department and has only been with the Southfield Police Department for a very short period of time.
If something criminal happens in the schools, if you have maybe someone, you have a fight where somebody picked up a weapon or anything like that because it turns to felonious assault, at that point, then I come into play. If you have, you might have an individual or a student who may bring drugs into the school, then I come into play. You may have a criminal sexual conduct, kids grabbing each other or doing what, having sexual activities, then I come into play. Things of that nature when it becomes criminal, and it's no longer out of the hands of the school district. Well, when I first got over here, they didn't take it so well to me because it was a guy that I replaced that he was here for over like 6 or 7 years, so he had, of course, a better relationship with the children. And he told me when I first got over here, he was like, well, they're not gonna be real receptive or talk to you for a while. You know, you're gonna think something's wrong with you. But they started to warm up the more and more they see me walking the hallways and things of that nature. And you know, now they call me by my first name. They call me, you know, hey officer, how you doing? You know, for this school, it's 1,638 kids here. That was the number that we were afforded when we did our count day. You know, you have a bunch of kids, a bunch of different attitudes. You got a bunch of adolescents going through puberty, don't know what's going on with their body. You know, so what happens is, you know, you put a bunch of people, you know, it's going to be some issues. The biggest thing now is the whole social media deal. He said, she said over social media. He said he was going to do this. She said she was going to do this, that, and the other. That's the biggest thing is that I get, you know, just observing and you know, the arguments, you know, it's just to a different level. Sometimes it's a pretty good school. Sometimes, you know, it ends in, you know, them arguing, fighting maybe, but that's as far as it goes. You know, they're not doing anything out of the ordinary that, you know, high school kids don't do. Sometimes, you know, kids, you know, they look at security like, oh, you're a flashlight cop and this, that, and the other. Sometimes that's what they do, you know, but my presence, you know, I think it deters a lot of things. Just me just being there, not even having to say anything. It's just me just being there.
Well, you know, at home, you know, they're online, you know, kind of, once again, the cyberbullying. And what we find out, you know, because once again, you know, you can reach out across the town, across the nation, across the world with that push of a button. So what we're finding out, they're bringing it back into the school. The disagreements they're having at home, they're bringing it back into the school. And that's the problem we're having. And we're not aware of it. And, you know, a lot of times we don't become aware of it until the incident happens. But it went on maybe the weekend before them coming back to school.
The school liaison officers aren't really seen as punitive, and they show up at many of the school's activities.
You know, we have our games normally on, we had a football, JV freshman football on Thursday, we had a varsity on Friday. So I'm normally work that every week, and then we have the basketball season. I'm assigned to the basketball season. So I'm, you know, pretty much get to know the kids. I get to know other kids because, you know, when the teams come together, like I said, we had a football and a basketball program. So we're definitely assigned to, you know, we're assigned to work those games. So I get to kind of know the students that way also. I've been involved with Shot with a Cop. We do that annually around the Christmas holiday season. You know, we take approximately 20 kids throughout the city from elementary up to high school, and they go over to Myers, and Myers present them with a $150 gift card, and they can shop with the cop. And I mean, that's a great community experience that I've been involved with I believe it's been going on for like the last 5 or 6 years now. So it's been an outstanding deal that we got going with Myers, that partnership.
My principal, she's always telling me, you're doing a great job, you know, I don't know what we'd do without you, you know what I mean? So they're very appreciative here. And you know, that's one of the things with this job that you kind of need to hear kind of because of what you deal with, you know, because of how much stress it is on you, especially when you're on patrol, you know what I mean? Because you can get a police run and you never know what you're gonna walk into. You'll get a police run stating that, you know, oh, it's a stray dog, and then you pull on the street and they're shooting at each other. You know what I mean? It could be something totally different. So to hear that from the community and say, you know, I'm so glad of what you do, this, that, and other, you know, the community really needs to realize how much that matters when an officer hears that.
Over the course of the last season, Southfield has been cutting and removing invasive species around the city from the Rouge River area to local parks. We join the crews as they do a follow-up where they are implementing a prescribed ecological burn at the Carpenter Lake Park.
So we've been, over the course of this last season, we've been cutting and removing invasive species. And today we're doing a follow-up on that where we're implementing a prescribed ecological burn. We'll start by burning some of the prairie areas that are at the northern end of the park, and then we'll jump into the woods and burn about 11 or 12 acres of the woodlands there. Burning was a historical element of the Michigan landscape. So Native Americans have been burning for thousands and thousands of years in our area. And as a result, the plants that grow here have become really well adapted to fire. And so by implementing burns, we really favor the native species and encourage them to flourish in the area. And in contrast, a lot of the invasive species, plants that have been brought over from Europe and Asia over the last 200 years, are not well adapted to fire. And so by burning those plants, they get discouraged, they get knocked back. We'll have a crew out that one person will be basically lighting fire and dripping fire along as they go. And the rest of us will be following with water to ensure that the fire stays in the areas that we want burned and stays out of the areas that are outside of the burn unit. And so we work with the wind, so we'll start at the downwindmost portion of the burn unit and let the fire kind of creep back into the wind in a controlled fashion. So each of the burn units is kind of defined by the edges of the burn unit. And so in the case of the prairies, a portion of that burn break is mowed turf. A portion of it is shrub thicket that we see kind of farther off to the east or to the west. And the shrub thicket creates a change in the fuel type. So we're going from tall prairie vegetation, the grasses and the wildflowers, to this dense thicket that doesn't have a whole lot of leaf litter or fuel in it. And so that transition in fuel is our burn break for that portion of the burn unit.
When burning in an urban area, one of the biggest concerns is smoke and what happens with the smoke.
We've chosen a day where we've got beautiful blue skies, and the atmospheric conditions on blue sky days tends to favor very rapid smoke lift. We also have pretty light winds, and that again will allow smoke to rise rather than to lay low and kind of move through the neighborhoods. And then the biggest concern is the safety of passerbys and the crew. And so everybody is kind of aware of where they may need to move to in the event that something unforeseen happens.
I'm here as a precautionary measure to be readily prepared in case for some unforeseen reason there's a mishap, which I'm confident there won't be. Well, there will be some residual smoke. We did send out messages and a news media release to residents in the area so that they are aware that we'll be conducting the controlled burn today in 2 locations in Southfield, starting here at Carpenter Lake and then moving to Valley Woods North. Every participant will have their water pack available to them, as well as another water tank available with them. There's a crew of 7 that will be conducting this. I'll be here to witness and supervise, and that way I can convey to the on-staff fire suppression crews if they are in need, they're needed out here.
The crew had already prepped the area with the entrance to Carpenter Lake being closed.
The crew has already prepped the area. They'll cordon off the entrance into Carpenter Lake. Other than that, they've already created fire breaks, so that way they can control the fire as it progresses. And they'll be using the wind and many other factors to control the burn, so that way it is a smaller fire, if you will. It's a manageable fire, something that wouldn't get out of hand. If for some reason the crew leader advises me that the fire suppression crews are needed, we have unlimited resources when it comes to water. This is something that should be only handled by the professionals. No one, under any circumstances, should ever attempt to do this on their own property.
Well, we ended up receiving grant funding through the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative for this project. Actually, the money was funneled through Wayne County. It's a part of another regional grant that we're doing other similar projects throughout the region, removing invasive species in the Rouge watershed. So it was a multi-member project, lots of organizations involved, including the city, the Alliance of Rouge Communities, Wayne County, and several other communities. There were other projects done throughout the region, but were not burns, but they were projects to remove invasive species. But here, our site is well suited to do a burn, and we'll remove these invasive plants, and hopefully native plants will come back in place. Carpenter Lake is actually situated on a branch of the Rouge River, so anything we do on site, we like to treat and filter the water prior to getting to the river, so we're trying to do some positive environmental impacts on the site. You know, when it rains, we don't want things to go directly to the river, and which causes erosion and pollution. So we have several green aspects to this park where we've put in a porous paving parking lot that filters the stormwater before it gets to the river. We also have bioswales, and we have the native plants on site. And so doing this burn allows for us to remove some of the invasive plants, which we don't want to get into our river system and our ecosystem. So this burn will improve habitat, will also improve water quality throughout the region. We sent out earlier in November a letter to all of the adjacent residents notifying them of the burn and giving them some background information, trying to alleviate any concerns and any calls that come in when people see smoke. The operation today is the flames will be low and there won't be a ton of smoke, but you know, we try to reduce those calls, and we also want to let them know what the benefits of this project are. So we did send that out early on. A few people had asked to give a call of the day of the event, so we did that this morning, and we just wanted to have them be notified in advance.
The Southfield Police Department has appointed new officers and has done some promoting from within the department.
So I've had an opportunity to meet the family of the folks who are being promoted and those who are being appointed. And like I told you before, it's a very, very exciting day for us here in the city of Southfield. There's a lot of energy going on in our city, as I told you before, and specifically in the police department. We have a number of officers who are retiring, and we have a whole slew of officers like these four that you see here who are being appointed, and we have a whole lot more like Aaron who are being promoted to positions. So this is a very, very exciting day for us in the city of Southfield.
A number of elected officials and support staff were on hand. Mayor Ken Siver, City Clerk Sharika Hawkins, City Council President Dan Brightwell, the City Administrator Fred Zorn, and the members of the Citizens Police Advisory Board, residents who meet once a month with the chief to help him keep his thumb on the pulse of the city. Crime has decreased in Southfield over the last few years, and there are good reasons for that change.
Our violent crime rate in our city has decreased by over 80% over a 10-year period of time. And the reasons why we're seeing those types of decrease, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, we get a tremendous amount of support, as you heard from the mayor and the city administrator in our city. When we need equipment, we get the equipment that we need. When we need training, you know, 6 or 7 years ago when my staffing was reduced, I went to the city administrator and to our elected officials and said, you know, we can make it happen, but I just need to make sure that these officers are well trained. I need some additional funding for training to keep them sharper, to keep them smarter, to keep them more engaged, and no resistance whatsoever. It was, you know, what do you need? What type of training do these officers need? And we get that. We get that type of support in our city. So that's number one. That's why we're so successful. And number two is because of some of what these detectives back here have been doing, some of our background investigators and other detectives, and selecting and giving us a pool of officers that are the highest caliber that we're seeing in our industry. As the city administrator said, we're competing with everybody right now. Every single department is trying to get police officers. Everybody's short. And so it's very, very competitive. But our background investigators have made sure that we're getting in young men and women who know how to engage and have the interpersonal communication skills necessary to do this job. Because things have changed, ladies and gentlemen. And we're looking for a different type of police officer. I talked to the family members here, and that's why they chose us, but we chose them also. That's why they're here, because we're looking for different things in police officers now. 20 years ago, we were looking for police officers who came into situations, they solved problems. They came in, it was just the facts, ma'am. You got something, okay, here's what you do, this is where you're gonna go, and we're gonna do this, and then they go out and they go to another run. That's what society wanted. Society wanted officers who came in and took charge and told them what to do and just made things right. But what does society want right now in police officers? It's changed. They don't want police officers to come in and solve their problems. Our society now, family members, they want police officers to come in and help them to resolve issues, to work with them in resolving these issues. And it takes a different type of police officer to do that. That police officer from 25 years ago is not equipped to do that type of policing, but these officers are. And so we're extremely fortunate. I'm very, very thankful for my background investigators. I'm extremely fortunate that we're able to attract this caliber of talent to our place to help us in that area. So to you four, congratulations. Now the fun begins, and it really is fun. You know, there's a lot of, like I told the family before, there's a lot of energy in this industry. There's a lot of energy within our police department, a lot of energy within the city of Southfield, and that's what you're coming into right now. And so we're going to give you the equipment, the support, the training that you need to be successful and allow you to reach your peak potential.
Before the new officers were sworn in, each had an opportunity to have a special person pin their new badge on them. Detective Aaron Hughley was promoted to sergeant, a frontline supervisor's position, but also a position that is still out there in the field leading officers. We would officially like to welcome our new police hires and promotions, and we would like to remind our viewers that the Southfield Police and Fire Departments are looking for men and women to join our police and fire departments. For more information, you can contact the City of Southfield's Human Resources Department.
I would like to take a minute to acknowledge a recent retiree from the Southfield Fire Department, Rick Scheich. And Rick has been a magnificent firefighter for the City of Southfield, a great public servant. He's been a great, great partner with the Southfield Police Department. There's been a number of times when we have had an opportunity to have some collaborations and some projects that we had to work with the fire department. And Rick has always been a champion. He's got so much passion for this job, so much enthusiasm. We're going to miss him dearly. So great luck, Rick, and we wish you well in your retirement. With the year coming to a close, one of our favorite things to do is offer local children a chance to shop with a hero. Yeah, this is called Shop with a Hero, and it's one of our signature events that we do in the community. And it's a collaboration between the Southfield Police and Fire Departments, Southfield Public School System, and the Myers store. And the Myers store generously donates several $150 gift cards that are used for children in our community to go on a shopping spree. And we have police officers and firefighters and dispatchers who donate their time to adopt a child and accompany that child in the Myers store while they go on their $150 shopping spree.
It's a great event, especially around the holiday seasons. I think it's a win-win for everyone. You get to feel very warm and caring about doing things for others and getting outside the office and interacting with the public. Got to give Myers a very big shout out of saying thank you for donating this money for the kids can actually shop for gifts for themselves as well as their loved ones also. But it's a great event. It's great for the police and firefighters to get together, and we can actually get together and train and talk, as well as me and Chief Hawkins get together and we talk about things anytime we can get a couple seconds together, as well as interact with our community.
This is personally my 8th year. I've been lucky enough to get to participate with it. As you can see, Shop with the Hero, we with the fire department, with the Southfield Public Schools, and obviously the Southfield Police Department. We have about 20 kids here and partnering with Myers and other community partners that all donate money so that we can spend a couple of hours with the kids, let them shop, get whatever they'd like. The kids come from all different aspects of the community. Somehow we've, in good, bad, all different ways we've had contact with the young people in our community. We don't know who we're going to be shopping with until we get here, but they've been invited by different officers and firefighters. So when we get here, then we get partnered up and walk around with them and see what it is they're interested in. So the nature of our job, oftentimes we encounter the young people in our community in challenging situations. This allows us in a very non-confrontational way to spend just a couple hours where we get to be just people, they get to be just people, we get to spend some time and get to see what do they want, what's special to them, what's important to them, and just get to spend time with them. And it's probably more fun for us than it is for the kids, but again, it's been a privilege for me to get to do it every year.
We're always in the business of helping and trying to help solve people's problems. So this year we're able to reach back in the database and find families that have been affected in Southfield by fires, by tragedies or motor vehicle accidents, and actually have those children are ones that actually we come shop with a hero today. So it's very warm and personal to us in the fire department to be able to provide that level of service with the help of Myers for them.
It's very important that we show our young people in this community that police officers and firefighters do much more than just fight fires and arrest bad people. That we have a genuine interest in the well-being of this community and specifically the people in this community. And so this is one of the events where we show that, because a lot of these officers and firefighters and dispatchers that you see out here, they've donated their time. Some worked last night and they just got off duty within the last couple of hours. Others have things they have to do during the day that they put aside to come out here to show that they have a genuine interest in the people in this community. And it makes for a much safer and more secure community when you have police officers and firefighters who have this type of relationship with the people in the community. We thought it might be interesting to ask a few police and firefighters what their favorite gifts were as children.
It was when I was a little bit older, but I remember waiting for, it was on the original Nintendo, but Super Mario 3, and I waited for about 8 months for Christmas so that I could get that. And that literally, I thought my head was gonna pop off when I finally got it. So I remember, and now having young kids again, to get to watch that magic again is really a lot of fun.
I mean, I still have an assortment of my Lionel trains and Tyco racetracks. But as a kid, I was given this little miniature Pac-Man game. And I think I played with it until you couldn't even tell it was a Pac-Man on the side of it anymore. I guess that was a very special gift that I really enjoyed when I think I was about in the 3rd grade. And something I always remember, I look for them and see if there was a refurbished one that are there to kind of take me back to my old childhood days.
Yeah, my all-time favorite was a G.I. Joe doll that I had when I was a youngster, when I was 6 or 7 or 8 years old. And, I kept that doll for many, many years. The legs fell off of it, all of the uniform had tattered and all that. But I kept it, and even when I got new figures, I would always keep that one in it. So that's one of my fondest memories of toys from the old days. I'd just like to say to the members of the Southfield community that we wish everyone a happy and safe holiday season. We ask that the members of our community remember to lock their doors on their cars during the holiday season. Don't leave any items of value visible in the vehicles while they're out shopping or they're at work or they have their cars parked outside their residences. And also be wary during the holiday season of suspicious people in our neighborhoods. Watch out for our neighbors. If you see something that's out of sorts in the neighborhoods, call. We have no problem coming out and investigating, and my officers are very trained to know the good from the bad, and they're very respectful if it turns out that a person is not doing something bad. So please be very, very active during this holiday season and watching out for your neighbors.
Well, that's it for this edition of Safe and Secure. To find out more about the Southfield Police and Fire Departments, go to thecityofsouthfield.com and go to our respective pages.
You can also find out more by going to our Facebook and YouTube channels and looking at our respective pages. Until next time, stay
safe and secure.